Today we're going to create a simple seed, bead, and crystal bracelet. I have 4 examples of bracelets I've already created. We'll use the simple pattern today that consists of 3 seed bead links followed by a crystal. I've done this in both blue and silver and red and gold. We're going to use a stop bit on this because you can adjust the length after you've made the bracelet if you find that it's a little too long or it's a little too short. If you start with the end right here, then it's very difficult, if you finish it off before you start, it's very difficult to go back and make adjustments if the length of your bracelet isn't quite right. Next, we take 6 of these gold beads, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3 red. 1, 2, 3. Slide them down on the needle, and we're going to go back into the very last bead, down towards the black bead, and we'll form a loop. Now we want the red beads to be on the right side of this loop. All right, having a little trouble here, there. So we want 4 more gold beads. And we're going to go into the first gold bead here and pull through. And then give a little tug. And you've made your first link. Now for the next link and the rest of them, we only need 4 gold beads. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 red. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to go back into the bead just behind the one we came out in the opposite direction of the way we came out. And down. And again, keep the loop. Keep the red on the right side of the loop. And we're going to do 1, another 4, into the first gold bead, and give a little tug. And you've made your second loop. Now we're going to make the third. 4 beads again. 3 red. And we're going to go the one behind the one we came out of and go down. Gets a little easier as you start to make more loops because the red will stay on the right side. Okay, and 4 more. 4 more gold. And in through the first gold. All right, so this is your first segment of 3 beads. Now we're going to add our crystal. So we need 5 to get around these 4mm crystals. So we're going to take 5 gold beads, 2, 4, 5, and the red crystal. And we're going to do the same thing we did with the other links. We're going to go, now if you twist it, you'll notice, you can see this, which way this is coming out. We want to be, so it comes out facing up. So we turn that around, it's now facing up, and we go back through the back bead behind it. And then we need 5 more gold. 1, 2, 3. I tend to chase the loose ones. And in through the first gold. And give a little tug. Oops, it fell out. All right, put the bead back. Give a little tug. There you go. It should be nice and round around that red crystal. So now we're going to repeat our links again. So we're going to do 4, 2, 3, 4, and 3 red. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to find, see the threads coming up. We're going to find the bead behind the one where the thread's coming up, go down, and then we're going to do 4. And come up. It's twisted a little bit, so we just untwist it, give it a yank, give it a pull, and there you go. Now we're going to continue to build this in sets of 3 links, so we have to do 2 more links. Okay, bring it to the bead behind. Now, if it gets a little loose, you can pull up this way. Pull up the thread that came out of the last one and pull it back down again. And then we do 4 over here, another 4 into the first gold, and give a little tug. The little tugs are kind of important because that makes the thread nice and taut. If you don't do the little tugs, when you finish the bracelet, the beads are going to be a little bit loose and you'll see a little bit more of the thread. So just remember to do a little tug. Doesn't have to be too hard, but just make sure you take up any of that slack thread. Okay, the bead behind. We want to do another 4. And come up. Little tug. All right. So now I'm going to add my second crystal. Again, we need 5 gold beads to get around that crystal. 2. Oops, drop them. 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay. Back the bead behind. And another 5. And come in the bead, just the first gold bead next to the crystal. And a little tug. Now, sometimes these don't look very round, but if you've given a little tug and you go on to the next portion, like this one here, I'm going to do one more link, so you'll see how that'll fall into place. So we do 4 beads, and then 3, and we're going to come into the one behind again. Pull, get a little pull. There you go. Again, tighten that up a little. That's my tail. And then another one, 4. 4. And a little tug. And see how that nicely went round. Once I got that next link in, the beads went round that crystal. I'm going to finish this now. You can continue with 3 and 1, 3 and 1, and you're going to want, okay, this isn't in blue, but you're going to want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 crystals, and then finish off with 3 links and 3 links on either side. This is a 7.5-inch bracelet. And what I mentioned earlier about adjustments is when we get to the point where we're going to finish off the ends, if we find that it's a little too loose, we can take one of these links out on either side, or we can add a link or 2 on either side and try and keep it symmetrical. I'll be back when I finish the remainder of the loops and crystals. We're going to finish off the bracelet ends now. I'm going to use a smaller sample because it's a little bit easier to see and for me to manipulate. So this would be your finished bracelet. Now we want to take 4 beads. Now I've already put together the small ring, the large ring, and the clasp. So I'm going to pick up the smallest ring, and I'm going to want to go to the bead behind where the thread is coming out, but not down like we normally did when we were going to put a link on. We're going to go in the opposite direction and come up and come around, and this will form a very nice little loop. And we want to go around again, around our loop one more time. I'm going to flip this over. It's a little easier to work with on this side. You may have to go through a few beads at a time. You won't be able to get around the entire circle generally, so I'm just doing 2 or 3 beads at a time until I get back around, and I'll be back around right now. I'm going to come through the only one of the beads that I went through before, so you can see we'll have only one come up right here in the center. So we're going to be positioned right in front of these 3 red beads. What we're going to do is we're going to go back through the 3 red beads. So we want to go to the end of the 3 red beads. Having a little trouble getting into the, there we go. There we go, into the 3 red beads. And now I'm going to create my first knot. I don't like fat knots, so we're going to create a skinny knot. I'm going to bring this through, and you want to be underneath this 1 bead. All right, so we want to be at the bottom of the 3 red beads. Bring that through, tie across, so we have our little knot here, and we're going to pull that tight. Okay, and then we'll come back round. We're going to go up, and we'll go around the outside this time until we get to the other side of the red beads, the other side of the link. And again, I want to pick up just one of these beads here. So you're right at the bottom of the red links, the red beads, rather. Yeah, my thread has a mind of its own. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go under here and up. Come across. Get rid of that tail. There. You want to go down. Bring that down. Now don't let that knot get up too high, because then you're going to see thread. So we're going to coax this thread down to the bottom of these 3 red beads. Okay. As many times as I've done this, even I have trouble sometimes to get that thread where I want it. And then we come up through the 3 red beads, pull it nice and tight, and now we're going to lay it down flat. I'm going to take my scissor, and I'm going to lay my scissor flat. Don't pull up a bead. Be very careful that you don't pull up a bead. Just cut slowly. And now you've attached the clasp on the first end. For the second side, I'm going to flip this around, and I'll be right back after I thread the needle. I've thread my needle and removed my stop bead. Now this is where you could have added additional links or removed a link or 2 if you wanted to adjust the length of the bracelet and make it symmetrical. So we're going to take 4 beads, and we're going to pick up the smallest link, smallest loop, and we're going to go through the bead behind the one that you came out. And we're going to go in the same, coming back in the same direction so it comes out of the bead you just came out of. And you're going to make a loop. And then we're going to want to go around. I'm going to flip this over because we're going to want to go around one more time to reinforce that loop. I know this thing keeps flipping, so I'll try and keep it in frame. There we go. Around, we have two more, so we'll go through these two. And we want to go through that ring. And then the last bead, we wanted to go through just the first one, like we did before, of the gold beads and be positioned in front of these 3 red beads. So we're going to go through these 3 red beads. And again, we're going to go under the beads, under the bottom of the 3, and we're going to go through, make a loop, go through. So this is going to make a little slim knot. And now we're going to go around again on the outside. And we'll go through the one. There. Go through this one gold bead, and we're going to go under again and come back up. And we're going to pick up this loop. Go down this way. Pull our knot. Go through the red beads. Give a tug. Make sure the knot is secure. We'll lay this out. And try not to cut the bead. There you are. And then your other side is complete. And I had earlier made the completed red bracelet, so you'll see how it looks when you put it on.